Good morning, everyone. Happy lazy Sunday. Felt a little Bible reading is needed today with everyone. This is to me a really weird story, okay? It's the miracles of the loaves. I want it to be in the New Testament today. The miracle of the loaves. After this, I guess something else beforehand, Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee or of Tiberias. Oh, you don't know? all right. And a large crowd followed him, impressed by the signs he had done in curing the sick. Jesus climbed the hillside and sat down there with his disciples. The time of the Jewish Passover was near. Looking up, Jesus saw the crowds approaching and said to Philip, "Where can we buy some bread for these people to eat?" He said this only to put Philip to the test. He knew himself exactly what he was going to do. How did they know that? How did they know that? That he put Philip to the test? Did Jesus write anything down himself, actually? Did he? I don't know. I don't think he did. So we're all assuming here, right? He was putting Philip to the test. He knew what he was going to do. Why put him to the test then? I don't get this kind of stuff. Philip answered, 200 denarii would not buy enough to give them a little piece each. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said, "Here's a small boy with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what is that among so many?" Okay. There's a little boy. That little boy has so many loaves and so many fish with him. That's interesting, don't you think? A little boy did. Now there's 5,000 people, supposedly. 5,000, could have been 5,217, could have been 4,800, okay, it's 5,000. All right. I'm mentioning these things because these stories are really interesting to me, and yet there's got to be a deeper meaning with all this. There's something there that we're missing, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, all right. Jesus said to them, "Make the people sit down." There was plenty of grass there, and as many as 5,000 men sat down. As many as. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were sitting there. He then did the same with the fish, distributing as much as they wanted. When they had eaten enough, he said to the disciples, "Pick up the pieces left over, so that nothing is wasted." So they picked them up and filled 12 large baskets with scraps left over from the meal of 5 barley loaves. What did he do with them? With the leftover scraps. Wow, even at that time they had leftovers? You wouldn't think so. Well, it's, okay, get it. Seeing the sign that he had done, the people said, "This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world." Jesus, as he realized they were about to come and take him by force and make him king, fled back to the hills alone. This is, to me, a really interesting story in the Bible that, interestingly enough, I've been thinking about lately. So how did he do that? Did he actually do that, or is there a deeper meaning with all of these stories somehow? Now, I got to remember, this was over 2,000 years ago where all these stories started to originate about Jesus and the time with the Israelites and all that. So I thought, okay, how's it possible to feed that many people, really? Okay, did he really? Well, that was just, well, he's the Son of God. He can do anything. I don't think that Jesus ever, during his whole 33 years of his life on earth, ever did anything that none of us could do as well. Or that he had these special powers that then he used. I don't think that's what he did. I remember clearly when anytime a healing came up, Jesus said, "You healed yourself. Your faith healed you because you believed. The power of belief healed you. I didn't do that." So what about with all that food? And I thought, it'd be interesting to know, was this the first potluck? Yeah? What do people do here when you go someplace? As I said, there was this little boy with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, a little guy. Knew, okay, if I'm going anywhere, I've got to take some food with me. Now these 5,000 people, you really think they didn't take any kind of food with them? I mean, they're all on foot. So most likely I knew, well, if we follow him, we might have to spend the night. Might have to spend 2 nights. So let's make sure we bring some food. Okay. So is it more that they had this one child with the food that was willing to share? The little child probably was so, children, they flocked to Jesus, right? And here, 5 loaves and 2 fish probably would have been enough for Jesus and his disciples, right? Yes? That was a nice little offering. That snack. And here, I think, most likely, Jesus made this child an example to the rest of the people. Said, okay, oh, by the way, can you imagine thousands of people and you don't have a megaphone or something or a microphone? How did he talk to everybody out there, right? Probably had a really, really loud voice, right? Like I do. I have a really loud voice. I remember we would be in some kind of a convention or whatever, and the people wouldn't calm down. And here I'm standing, and nobody could get them to calm down. Here I'm standing, I'm yelling out, everybody, right? Hello, and people go, huh? Yeah. So anyway, Jesus must have had a really loud voice. And used the example of the little boy who was willing to share. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going, all right, let's make this a plausible story. Well, why? It could have been just, really? You really? What did I just say? I don't think that Jesus in any way ever violated the principles of creation or the principles of love. Right? In every which way that the creation, everything out there, animals, plants, whether it's created, right, is exactly still the exact same way as God created it. And us as human beings, under the principles of love, are exactly, it's all there. Right? Sometimes in the subconscious, just not on the surface. Right? Like this thief, over in Hazard, Perry County, very sad little league, where it's one of the things children can go this and have fun. And a couple of guys went in and started stealing from their rec room or something. It's stealing from children. Right? Oh my gosh, what lowlifes are they? Right? And they didn't look like they were in rags or anything. They're just there to steal. Yeah? Well, anyway. So here, so here's Jesus. And he's looking at this, and I guess he was a good organizer, right? Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take this little boy and use him as an example for the other people that brought food, which looks like a lot of people did, to share. Everybody would share amongst each other. And they had this huge meal. So were there 12 baskets left over of food? I doubt that very much. I'm not sure where the basket... Again, it's a story, right? So it makes it even more so of a miraculous story if you have 12 baskets of leftovers. No. That's not a good thing. Okay? Leftovers? Well, Jesus didn't want them to be wasted. Okay. Well, so the people actually who brought all that precious food with them, which at that time, again, how did you get food? Right? How did you get it? It wasn't as abundant as it is now. So, really, so people say, oh yeah, I'm done with this half, I'll just throw it away. Oh, besides, would it really be wasted? I mean, there probably were animals and stuff around. This was all organic stuff, you know. There weren't wrappers with it, so we're not talking garbage, okay? We're talking organic food here, huh? What would it matter, huh? But it didn't get wasted. So was it? Was that? Or was that just added on to the story somehow? Because I'm thinking, I bet you there wasn't anything left over. I can't see there, or if there were, I'm sure people wrapped it up carefully again, right, for the trip home or something. You see what I mean? So, what? How do we understand the the stories in the Bible? Well, we shouldn't change. Okay, that's only for the last book, which the book of Revelations doesn't make sense anyway. So it's like a fairy tale or something. Who the heck came up with all that stuff in there? But anyway, okay, I'm not saying I don't believe it, I have no idea what they're talking about in the book of Revelation. Don't understand any of it. Maybe something in the future, you know. But I'm not. No, yeah, and I have, in a way, I have no desire to put any more thought into two-headed beasts and I don't know what and left to the right of God, and I'm just not. You know, I'm going. Oh, I guess I'll have to just see when I get there. You know, what that was all about. The interesting thing, though, with the book of Revelation is that people try every which way to figure out, okay, what is meant. Yeah? And yet the rest of the Bible, in a way, okay, that was just another miracle. And I'm going, was it? Or in a way, it was Jesus teaching us with the story of the loaves and the fishes, right? On how you share. When you're with a big crowd, this, that, on how you properly behave, right? Kind of interesting. Sadly, right now, in our present time, when crowds to get together, what happens? People are being more and more afraid to actually go out there, because you never know if some crazy dude is around who's going to do what? Yes. Or demonstrations and all that. Turn into what? Taking over whole cities, destroying businesses, killing people. Yip-yapping about what? So, this is a nice story to go back to right now. It would be a nice one for every priest, reverend, pastor to pick up and say, let's study this little part in the Bible. What did Jesus teach us? Is to share. Right? To share. And not waste anything. To not waste anything. Yeah. Sadly, what does it say in the end? Well, it was real close to the time where they were going to come and get him. And he already knew about that, probably because of the rumors. Right? Why would he suddenly? There were rumors. And so did he run away? I don't think Jesus ran away. He just said, well, the little time that I do have left on this beautiful earth, I'll go and spend it somewhere where I will have a little bit of peace, right? Yeah. Probably really frustrating, too, when you're, all right, I'm not going to go there. I know. So, with all that, if the miracle was so great and people realized, hey, we just got fed with nothing, but we're all not hungry anymore, and there's leftovers if we want more. That should have made such an impression on them that they'd say, well, we're going to protect him. There's nobody going to come and get him. That's not going to happen. Right? His own people wanted the criminal free rather than a good man still out there teaching to them. Then maybe Jesus would have had time to get married and have children and establish the blessing, the return to the lineage of God. Maybe, don't know. One can really truly only speculate on that, right? Yes, because it did never happen. Yeah, so what did really happen on that mountain? And how? And what did Jesus actually teach us? tried to teach the people there at that time. Right? And now, what is it? It's an interesting story. It's interesting on what's going on here 2,000 years later, right? Yes? Criminals are being set free. Good people go to jail, right? Yes? Lots of waste of food everywhere. Lots of waste of food. And are people sharing? Lots of people share, yes. But they're hoarding. People like to hoard things now. You know, I've always had this. I was taught that from my home. You always give the best of what you have, not the least you can afford to give or the least you want to give. You give the best of what you have. So I've always given the best of what I have to other people. Well, anyway, so there it is. Little story to think about. Yeah, okay, all right. I think a little deeper with certain things like that, and try to see. Okay, what is Jesus really trying to teach us here? And then what did someone make out of that story and why? All right? Yes? Okay. Anywho, that's all I have to share this morning. A sermon from the mount. God's love and blessings always, and I will talk to you another time.